we have other notable African Americans who've served in the Treasury Department. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So Alex Haley, who was the author of Roots, served in the Coast Guard. Um, and the Coast Guard is actually a former bureau of the Treasury Department. During his time in the Coast Guard, he took a lot of notes, and that's actually where he credited his writing career, starting from his experience when he served in the Coast Guard. And he served actually for 20 years. And that was actually a duty that he ended up having, because his writing was so well. It's kind of like the first public affairs person. One of the U.S. Coast Guard cutter was recommissioned to the USCGC Alex Haley to honor him. So yeah, they named a ship after him. And Roots was, I think that's probably his most famous piece of work. And they actually did a reboot of it recently on Netflix. My children were telling me about it, that they have watched it. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, that's good. So a new generation is learning more about that. So Ms. Morton was actually born in Texas, and she eventually became the first African American treasurer of the U.S. Department of the Treasury. She was born in 1936 down in Texas. She went to college. She ended up doing some work with the AFL-CIO in Texas. And her work caught the attention of then President John F. Kennedy. And he noted what she was doing. And so she ended up serving as an assistant to a president of Houston Tillotson University. And so eventually, after working for him, she ended up taking a job with the AFL-CIO in Texas. And President Kennedy, during one of his visits, noticed the work that she was doing at the AFL-CIO. So eventually, when President Carter was elected, he brought her to D.C. to serve as the first, she was the first African American treasurer. And this was back in 1977. And she did a lot of work. She actually did some work with the housing association in Texas, one of those. She served on their board, and she did some work with them. And so I think that was kind of like significant, because she was dealing with the housing matters back then, like to try to get fair housing and affordable housing for the people in Texas. So yeah, and Treasury just recently honored her. Some people with Operation Hope were involved with that as well, because they help with housing. They help people learn about financial literacy. That's what it was about. Yeah, it was financial literacy, and how to include, purchasing homes and things of that nature. His name is Adewale, and we call him Wally Adeyemo. He is currently our deputy secretary. So he works closely with Secretary Yellen on a lot of issues. His last position before this position, he was actually leading up the efforts for the Obama library efforts. so the Obama Foundation, he worked there before he came to his position here. However, he was actually at the Treasury Department before under the Obama administration. He actually served as the first chief of staff of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which was newly created. But then he left there and he went to the White House. He served on the national security. He was a deputy national security advisor for international economics. But I know him because he was also a mentor to me while he was at the Treasury Department. And he helped me with a few things. And I'm just so glad to see him in this position and how he's working so closely with Secretary Yellen on a lot of things over at the department.